Well, in light of the holiday and a challenge that was given to me by our dear Ethne, who wants to make some king's bread? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to be linking to the original recipe that I found for this video because I've actually never made king's bread. But let's make it together, shall we? All right, my dears. So this recipe is not for the faint of heart. I will tell you, this is something you're going to want to plan out in advance because there's a lot of moving parts to this recipe. But it's nothing that you guys can't handle. You can do this. All right, so I am going to vary from any of the written directions just because I know bread. So I'm able to do that. However, if you feel more comfortable following written directions, you go ahead and do you do. So let's get this going. So we need first cup of milk, 3/4 cup butter. It is better to start with a soft butter. But where we're going to do this directly into the pan and warm everything up like we would a buttermilk recipe, we can speed this process up just a little. Okay, so we're going to turn this on kind of a low heat. Just okay. Turn the heat off. We're going to add our 1/3 cup of milk. Remove that from the heat. All right, so now we're just going to let this cool for a little bit. All right, we're going to let this cool down until it comes down to 120 to 130 degrees. All right, this came down to 10, so we need 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, or the equivalent of 1 packet. And then we're going to pull 1 tablespoon out of our 1/3 sugar cup that we need for the rest of this recipe. You can give this a good mix. And we're going to let this do its initial starting. Getting our yeast starter. Now we need to get all of our candies made. First, let's start with our candied orange peel. Candied orange peel. It's actually really quite delicious. And it's not difficult to make, but this is something that you have to make ahead of time. This takes about a full 2 days after you make it before it's fully dried and ready for use. So, let's go over what you need. You need oranges. You know, just the peel. And you can do this all year long. It's beautiful. So, you need orange peels, and you're going to slice them into a 1/4 inch strip. About 15 minutes is what you boil them originally for. Then you drain and you rinse them. Then bring equal parts of sugar and water to boil, usually 3 cups of each. When it comes to that full boil, then you're going to add those slightly softened orange peels to the pot. And it's going to simmer for about 45 minutes in this rich, heavy syrup. So they'll be totally soft at this point. And then lay them out on like some parchment paper with a cup of sugar. Lay them all out nice. Get your parchment paper out, and then you're gonna shake a cup of sugar over the top of these orange peels. Now, this generally will take about 2, maybe even 3 large oranges to do this particular batch up. After you've got the sugar on them, you kind of toss them and you make sure they're good and separated. You're gonna let them sit there and dry for a full 2 days. Like, they've got to be totally dry before you do anything else. Now, how you store them varies. So I like to just keep mine in a mason jar. But others like to wrap them up tightly and put them in the freezer. So you do you on that one, boo. Next, we need to make some jewels. So we need some dessert cherries, okay? And we're going to go ahead and start that. Okay, so we need the juice from these cherries. We need about 1/4 of a cup from a 16-ounce can. I'm going to turn this on a lower heat and add 1/4 of a cup of the cherry juice. Now you want to stir this constantly so that it doesn't burn. All we're doing is we're melting the sugar down, essentially. And it should only take just a few minutes, about maybe 3 minutes. All right, so we are going to use a slotted spoon, and we're going to put our cherries into the pan. Give this just a little stir. Turn this back down to low heat and pop a lid on it. There's our cherries done. Okay, we're going to repeat the same process for our mangoes or pineapple, whatever it is that you want to put in here. No.
No. Yeah, I left them.
All right. And we're going to put a lid on it.
What's that?
Look at those cherries. Woo! All right, so we're going to set a timer back here just so that we don't lose track of what we're doing for 30 minutes. Look at our yeast. Oh, beautiful. Let's get our dough going. All right, now we're just going to get our dough started. You guys know how to do the dough. Come on, let's do it. So, I'm going to add 1 cup. Yeah. Yeah. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Set it to the side. We need our remaining sugar. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're just going to give this just a loose stirring. Okay. And now we need 4 eggs. And we're going to slowly start adding in our remaining cup. Whisking it very well the whole time. So this takes a lot of orange extract. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. Quick rinse. Okay, now we're going to work on kneading in the remaining 2 cups of flour. Okay, so we're going to cover this and we're going to go ahead and move this over to the oven on a proof setting, and we're going to let this proof. Yeah, okay, let's do that. All right, our bread is proofing in the oven, and we need to check on our candies. So, if you've never made candy before, this is something you do not leave unattended. Look how thick that is. Like, it's already almost candied at the moment. So we're getting there. So these are cherry jewels that we're making. We're making candied jewels. So the cherries are doing good. And I did have to move the mangoes over here to a smaller heat source. Look at those. So they still have a little longer to go candy-wise, but you can see it's starting to thicken up. So it is very important that you don't burn these. It's very easy to burn candy. Never leave it unattended. And this is just a very low heat simmer that we are doing on these. Because these spoons, see, we've got cherry candy on there. And we've got mango candy. We'll be pulling them off and laying them out on parchment and letting them come down. Now, you want to clean up any of this, like, immediately. Or it's going to stain your counters, and sometimes this can be very difficult to clean up. Yeah.
Candy is made. I think you call him Candy. I'm not fixing it.
Now, I'm good at a lot of things, but candy making is not my specialty. Yeah, I can do it, but I'm not really good at it. And promise you, I lose half my candy to the paper every time. Never fails. So, after you get it on your wax paper and it hardens up, you're going to want to start pulling it off your wax paper right shortly thereafter, because otherwise your paper is going to glue itself to the candy. Or at least that's my experience, always, every single time. And even then, I still have to go through and continuously loosen it. Now, if I can actually get in my deep freeze, I would put this in my deep freeze. But I can't get in my deep freeze right now. So, I've got just the candy sitting here. And I've got the actual jewels sitting in the freezer right now so that they can finish hardening up. Now, the strawberries I did for this didn't like fully candy. So, sometimes you just got to work with what happens. And, honey, candy making is not an easy thing to do. Some people are naturals at it. Forming this is not hard. It's working with it afterwards that's the difficult part. This has been proofing for quite a while now. Let's get it rolled out. So we're going to roll this out to about 40 inches long and 2 inches around. Now this is not going to have a normal dough texture, y'all. So don't worry too much about that. All right, we're going to take a pause for a second because we need to add our little King of Kings. This is honestly the hardest part of this whole thing, finding something to use for your King of Kings. So I ended up pulling one of our quartz crystal angels out of the shop to do this because I couldn't find anything. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find one. So fortunately, I still had this up there. Not exactly what is supposed to go in here, but it's what I've got. So this is our King of Kings. And we're going to embed this in the dough. And then some lucky person is going to find the King of Kings in there when they cut into this. Okay. And now we're going to pull out our great big pizza pan to put this on. Now, using a little bit of water on your hands, we're going to get these ends good and wet because we need to make kind of a glue between the ends to marry them up.
All the way around. We're gonna put this.
Okay, now that this is even all the way around, we're gonna go ahead and set this back in the oven on a pre-proof with a boiling pan underneath, and we're gonna continuously mist this until this is doubled in size. All right, now we need to get our sweet strip dough made. So I'm actually running a little low on powdered sugar, so I'm cutting mine in half compared to what the original recipe is. So I have about 1/4 cup of powdered sugar in here and add 2 tablespoons of butter. Okay, so now we're going to add our cinnamon, our egg yolk, and our flour. All right. There's our sweet dough. Okay, And our dough's all raised. And it's time to get it decorated. We're going to make some little strippies with our sweet dough. Maybe. Now, let's get our candies on.
Okay. No. No more good bread, Mom. You got that.
Let's get it cooking. All right, so we're popping this in the oven at 350 degrees, and we're gonna bake it for 25 to 35 minutes. Let's see what it looks like. Oops. Oops. I broke one. So the only thing that's stuck down on this is the egg. It's the egg that ran off the side and that is stuck down on the pan a little bit. Oh, my oranges are popping off. And it doesn't help that there is candy all over the place too. That's okay though. Alright, so this one spot here. Okay, now that I think I'm done breaking my bread, okay, now I think we're unstuck so I can slide this under. Okay. Ooh, the orange is really coming out in this bread. So you can smell that orange and just that little bit of cinnamon that's in it. Mmm, pretty tasty smelling. I really wish I hadn't broke those. We got two little pieces that broke off while I was pulling it out. You know what? That happens though, guys. It does. Look at that. What do you think? So what I didn't show you was the fact that I forgot to put my candied orange peel on here, and I also forgot to put my almond slivers on. So I had to add those in a little bit later. Now, just because some people have problems with almonds and some don't, and this is actually going out to some other folks, I only put almonds on half of it. So just in case, that's the only difference of what you did not see while it was baking. So it's just some almond slivers that are layered in, and there's some of them that's always going to fall off. They never quite stay exactly where you put them. But that's okay. It's ready to go. Yummy. All right, y'all. So this bread is something that you can make, but it is something that you're really going to have to schedule it into your day. I truly suggest making your candy up the day before and putting it in your freezer and then pulling it out when you're ready for it. Remember, when you're making candy, you can't just stack it up on top of each other or it's gonna into one big giant piece of candy. And you need to make sure that you stay on top of your cleaning while you're doing this. Now the bread itself doesn't take that long. It's just a traditional bread in a sense, but it has a more pastry-like feeling to it when you're making it because of the very high butter content in the bread. So it's got more butter in it than it does liquid. So your butter actually is a big portion of your liquids. All right, so if you are gonna make this all in one sitting like I did, excluding the oranges, because I had them done up a long time before, you're gonna wanna plan almost an entire day to do this. I'm not even joking. So let's see, I started about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock this morning. 9 o'clock this morning. It is now 3:30, and it's finally fully finished. It takes a long time to make this bread. So if you're making all of it at the same time, make sure you give yourself a lot of leeway time-wise, okay, my friend? All right, so if you guys have any questions, as always, don't be afraid to reach out, and we will get you all answered up. And I will be linking to the original recipe for this video, or the original recipe that I used, down below in the description. And yeah, we finally got our bread done. And it's all packaged, it's ready to go. How pretty it turned out. I literally don't even have a bag big enough to hold this bread. It doesn't fit in anything I have. So, pretty yummy. Oh, and it literally smells heavenly. All right. We will see you next week as we dive into all of our yummy, delicious whole wheat breads. And I hope you guys enjoy this special King's Bread episode for the holidays.